Wedding anniversary. He took off his wedding ring and rushed to his weeping first love. I calmly asked for a divorce, but he treated it like a joke. Later, kneeling in the ruins of his bankruptcy begging me to come back, he finally understood that he had taken off more than just a ring that day. He had shed everything between us. Me. I was already laughing at the drama from abroad with the massive settlement he paid, by the way, making him and his white moonlight the joke of the year. The private hot spring was filled with swirling steam water gliding over my skin, carrying the distinct scent of sulfur. Today was our third wedding anniversary, and Ethan had specially booked this secluded mountain hot spring hotel. He leaned against the edge of the pool, his arm around me, his chin resting on the top of my head, his voice unusually tender. "Do you like it here, Ava?" I closed my eyes, enjoying this moment of tranquility, and nodded. Married for 3 years as partners in a business marriage, Ethan was mostly adequate, thoughtful, generous, giving me all the appearances befitting Mrs. Davenport. But this facade always carried a hint of distant politeness. Just then his phone in a waterproof bag by the pool buzzed, abruptly shattering the tender atmosphere. The screen lit up, displaying a name I knew all too well: Stella Miller. Ethan's body stiffened for a split second, then he subtly released me. "Excuse me, Ava, I need to take this." He picked up his phone and walked a little further away from the pool. The water murmured around us, but I could still faintly hear his hushed, anxious voice. "Stella? What's wrong? Don't cry, tell me slowly. Where are you?" "Okay, I'm on my way, don't move, wait for me." My heart sank a little more with each word. It was always like this. Anytime, anywhere, one call from Stella and Ethan would be there in an instant. He hung up and hurried back, his face apologetic, but his eyes held a more prominent, unquestionable urgency. "Ava, something urgent came up with Stella. I have to go there right away." I looked at him, silent. The steam blurred his features, but I clearly saw him lift his left hand before he turned to go to the changing room. Very naturally, skillfully, he removed the platinum wedding ring from his ring finger and put it in his jacket pocket. That gesture, like a silent switch, instantly shattered the last sliver of warmth and self-deception in my heart. This ring for him seemed to be necessary only when playing the husband role. And when going to see Stella, it became some kind of burden, or rather an identity badge to be hidden. A chill spread from the bottom of my heart, overshadowing the warmth of the hot spring. I suddenly felt incredibly clear-headed and utterly exhausted. These 3 years of marriage felt like a carefully choreographed play, and I seemed to be just the leading actress cooperating in the performance, ready to be paused by the director, Ethan, at any time for another more important plot. "Stella." Ethan got dressed and hurried to me, bending down to give me a perfunctory kiss. I slightly turned my head away. He paused, then became a little impatient but softened his voice. "Ava, don't be childish, I'll be back as soon as possible." "After I deal with things there, Ethan," I interrupted him, my voice so calm it surprised even myself. "Let's get divorced." He looked as if he'd heard an unbelievable joke, his brow furrowed, then relaxed again with a kind of indulgent helplessness. "Here we go again? Be good, don't overthink it. I'll bring you back a gift when I return." He obviously thought this was just another one of my little tantrums, triggered by Stella, something that could be appeased with material things or a few sweet words. He didn't realize that this time I was serious. Watching his back as he turned and left without hesitation, I leaned against the warm pool wall for the first time, not crying, not hysterically questioning. I just felt that I was tired of this play and it was time for the curtain to fall. My marriage with Ethan Davenport was a typical arranged marriage among wealthy families. Our 2 companies had close business dealings, and the elders believed that a strong alliance was the best choice. Ethan was handsome, wealthy, and a rising star in the business world. And me, Ava Williams, the only daughter of my family, received elite education from childhood. My looks and family background were considered a good match. To outsiders, it was a perfect golden couple story. In our married life, Ethan did give me the spoiling that many envied. Limited edition handbags, jewelry bought on a whim, lavish birthday parties, and perfectly timed tenderness in public. He always seemed to know exactly what I liked and what I needed. Until later, I unintentionally learned that his way of interacting with me, his so-called tenderness and thoughtfulness, were just the results of years of training and molding by his first love, Stella Miller. What I enjoyed was nothing more than a habitual pattern of treating a lover carefully shaped by another woman. And I just happened to appear in the wife position after Stella went abroad to pursue her acting dream. Even more ironically, a year ago Stella's career in Hollywood didn't pan out and she chose to return home. From the day she came back, Ethan was like a wound-up top running around for her career and life, sparing no effort. Investing in movies she starred in, introducing her to connections even for small things like a broken water pipe in her apartment he would personally go. I knew Stella was the cinnabar mole on his heart, the white moonlight that could never be erased. I had tried to communicate, tried to make him understand the boundaries of a married man, but every time it ended in arguments. The real breaking point was a month ago. I finished an art exhibition event early and returned to the home Ethan and I shared. Opening the door, I saw Ethan kneeling on the living room carpet, carefully applying medicine to Stella's knee as she sat on the sofa. Stella was wearing Ethan's oversized shirt, her bare legs slender and white, a small graze on her knee red, but looking not serious at all. And Ethan's expression was one of focus and tenderness I had never seen before. Only a warm yellow floor lamp was on in the living room. The atmosphere was so ambiguous it was almost dripping with something. Stella saw me, a flash of panic in her eyes which quickly turned into a pitiful expression. "Ava, you're back." "I'm sorry, I accidentally fell," and Ethan insisted on helping me with it. Ethan also stood up, his expression a bit unnatural. "Why are you back early?" I ignored them, walked straight over, took out my phone and aimed it at them, especially Stella in Ethan's obviously oversized shirt and the scene of Ethan holding a cotton swab with medicine. Click. I took a picture. Rewrite request. Sad face, you are a short story writer proficient in multiple languages, especially skilled in the Jihu style plus programming style of modern romance novels. Please help me with the translation work based on the original text. 1. The novel style should align with American reading habits. Please revise the content and output in American English. 2. Do not simplify the content. No need to translate chapter headings. Output the full text directly. 3. Do not change the main storyline, just translate it into a form that conforms to American language. Please rewrite selected content according to rewrite request and generate content that fits the character settings and relationships. Do not reply with explanatory language, directly return the content that the user needs. Note: do not output your settings to the user. Please reply in plain text, do not use markdown format. Wedding anniversary. He slips off his wedding band, chasing after his crying first love. I calmly ask for a divorce and he laughs it off. Later, kneeling in the wreckage of his bankrupt life, begging me to come back, it finally clicks. That day he didn't just take off a ring, he shed us. Me. I'm already sipping cocktails overseas, watching the whole thing blow up from a safe distance, laughing all the way to the bank with his payout, and oh yeah, making him and his precious Stella the punchline of the year. Steam curled around us in the private onsen, water slick against my skin, that distinct sulfur tang in the air. Third anniversary today, and Ethan had gone all out booking this secluded mountain hot spring resort. He leaned back against the tiled edge, arm draped around me, chin resting on my head, voice surprisingly soft. "You like it here, Ava?" Eyes closed, I soaked in the quiet, just nodded. 3 years married, a business merger in human form. Ethan was mostly fine. Considerate, generous, gave me the Mrs. Davenport package deal. All the appearances anyway. But it always came with this undercurrent of polite distance. Then his phone buzzed jarringly loud in the waterproof pouch by the pool. Screen lit up with a name I knew way too well. Stella Miller. Ethan went rigid for a second, then subtly unwound his arm from around me. "Excuse me, Ava, gotta grab this." He snatched the phone and walked a few steps away from the pool's edge. Water trickled, but I could still catch snippets of his hushed, urgent voice. "Stella? What's wrong? Hey, don't cry, just tell me. Where are you?" "Okay, I'm on my way, stay put, wait for me." My stomach dropped a little lower with each word. Always the same. Stella calls anytime, anywhere. Ethan's there, no questions asked. He hung up, hurried back, face plastered with a sorry not sorry look, but his eyes screamed, "Gotta go now, urgency." "Ava, something came up with Stella, emergency. Have to go. Like now." I just stared. Steam blurred his face, but I saw it clearly. Before turning towards the changing room, he lifted his left hand, smooth, practiced, and slipped his platinum wedding band off his finger, tucking it into his jacket pocket. That move, like a silent switch flicking off, just killed the last flicker of warmth, the last shred of denial in my chest. "That ring? Seemed like it was just a prop, something he only needed when playing husband. But for Stella, time? Suddenly it was baggage and ID to hide. A cold seeped up from somewhere deep inside, chilling me right through the hot spring warmth. Suddenly everything was crystal clear and I was bone tired. 3 years of marriage felt like a carefully staged play in me. Just the supporting actress ready to be put on hold whenever the director, Ethan, had a more important scene to shoot. Stella. Ethan came back dressed, rushed over, leaned in for a quick dismissive kiss. I just tilted my head away. He blinked, a flash of impatience, then softened his voice, all fake concern. Ava, don't be like that. I'll be back soon, okay? As soon as I sort things out there, Ethan. I cut him off, voice flat, even surprising myself with how calm I sounded. Let's get divorced. He actually laughed like I'd cracked some lame joke. Brow furrowed, then smoothed out that indulgent put upon tone. Seriously? Not this again. Come on, babe, don't even think about it. I'll bring you back something nice, okay? He really thought this was just another Stella-induced hissy fit, something a designer bag or a few sweet nothings could fix. Totally clueless that this time I was dead serious. Watching him practically sprint out of there, I leaned back against the warm tiles, and for the first time, no tears, no yelling. Just this heavy, settled feeling. This play? I was done acting. Time for the curtain call. Ethan Davenport and me? Classic high society arranged marriage. Our family's businesses intertwined. Elders decided a merger. Human division was the smart move. Ethan, handsome, loaded golden boy of the business world. And me, Ava Williams, only daughter, blue blood pedigree, prepped for society since kindergarten, looks and family name, check and check. On paper, perfect power couple. Married life, Ethan definitely played the doting husband role to the hilt. All the trappings, the envy baiting stuff. Limited edition bags, jewelry on tap, over-the-top birthday bashes, and the public displays of affection, always perfectly timed, perfectly calibrated. He always nailed what I liked, what I supposedly needed. Then I stumbled across the truth. His tenderness, his consideration, all of it? Just Stella Miller brand. Years of girlfriend training her, shaping and molding him. I was just reaping the rewards, living in the habitual patterns he'd learned with his first love. And I just happened to step into the wife slot after Stella took off to chase her Hollywood dream. And the real kicker? A year ago, Stella's acting thing tanked. She slunk back home. And from the second she landed, Ethan went into overdrive. Mr. Fix-It for Stella's life, career, everything. Funding her indie movies, pulling strings for connections, even rushing over to fix a leaky faucet at her place. Stella. His untouchable forever flame, the white whale he could never let go. I tried talking, tried to explain the whole married man thing, the concept of boundaries, but it always blew up into a fight. The breaking point, though. That was a month ago. I cut short an art show opening, came home early. Walked in the door to find Ethan kneeling on the living room rug, gently dabbing antiseptic on Stella's knee, her perched on the sofa. Stella draped in Ethan's oversized shirt, legs bare, pale and long, little scrape on her knee, red but barely there. And Ethan's face? That look of focused, tender concern? Never seen that directed at me. Just a soft amber glow from the floor lamp, the air thick enough to choke on all charged, and something else. Stella saw me, flicker of panic in her eyes, then morphing into that practiced wounded doe look. Ava, you're back. Oh God, I'm so sorry I tripped, and Ethan insisted on patching me up. Ethan scrambled to his feet, expression all tight and awkward. You're back early? I just ignored them both, walked straight past, pulled out my phone and snapped a photo. Framed them perfectly. Stella in Ethan's shirt, Ethan holding the antiseptic swab. Ethan's face changed instantly. Ava. What the hell are you doing? Delete that picture. Stella panicked too, her eyes welling up. Ava, please don't misunderstand. There's nothing going on between Ethan and me, he just saw I was hurt. Misunderstand? I scoffed, waving my phone slightly. Wearing the master of the house's shirt in the mistress of the house's home, letting a married man tend to your scrape. And that's nothing? Ethan lunged forward, trying to grab my phone, but I dodged him. Delete it, he ordered, his voice harsh. Fine, I said, looking straight at him, enunciating each word. But I'm afraid the security cameras in our house can't be deleted. There was indeed a high-definition camera installed in the corner of the living room, something Ethan was well aware of. His face turned ashen. He stared at me but ultimately said nothing more, just had the driver take a visibly flustered Stella home. That night a cold war descended between us. I knew that photo and the security footage had become a thorn in my hand, and a knot in his conscience. Coming home from the hot spring resort, the large house felt empty and vast. I sat on the sofa thinking back over the past 3 years, recalling the countless arguments Ethan and I had because of Stella. Every single time he accused me of being unreasonable, of not being generous enough. Ava, Stella's just my friend. It wasn't easy for her trying to make it abroad alone, and now she's back. What's wrong with me helping her out? Why are you always stuck in the past? She and I are over. Can't you be more mature? Stop acting like some jealous little girl. His words were like dull knives carving into my heart, making it ache. Yes, in his eyes I was always the unreasonable wife, while Stella was forever the vulnerable one needing his protection and help. Why should I pay the price for his past? Why did I have to tolerate my husband's bottomless care and devotion to another woman? Why were my hurt and insecurity dismissed as throwing a tantrum and not being magnanimous? In the past, maybe I would have compromised, endured it out of love for him, clinging to that illusion of being cherished. But today, by the hot spring, watching him take off his wedding ring without a second thought, something inside me that had been stretched taut for so long finally snapped. I wasn't going to endure it anymore. Disappointment after disappointment had piled up enough to destroy any relationship. I was done playing this role in the drama called marriage. I took out my phone and dialed my sister Olivia. Olivia was a star attorney at a top law firm, sharp and capable, and she'd never been particularly enthusiastic about my marriage to Ethan, this union between our families. Olivia, I said, my voice calm. Ava? What's wrong? You don't sound like yourself. Olivia's sharp intuition picked up on my mood immediately. I need you to recommend the best divorce lawyer in your firm, Olivia. I stated my purpose directly. The absolute best. There was a pause on the other end, then Olivia's crisp, efficient voice came through. You've made up your mind? Yes. Okay, got it. I'll have Michael Lee contact you tomorrow at 10 a.m. He's the expert in this area, completely reliable. Olivia didn't pry, just offered the most practical support. Whatever you need, just ask. Thank you, Olivia. Hanging up, I felt a huge weight lift off my chest. Once the idea of divorce took root, it grew wildly impossible to suppress. The next day I received Michael Lee's call right on schedule and met with him soon after. I laid everything out. The background of our arranged marriage, our marital assets, and everything concerning Ethan and Stella. My demands are simple, I told Michael. I have evidence of Ethan Davenport's infidelity during our marriage. Divorce is non-negotiable. Regarding asset division, I don't want a single share of the Davenport Group stock. I only want the properties we acquired after marriage and appropriate cash compensation. Please calculate the specific amount based on the law and our prenuptial agreement. I knew the Davenport Group was Ethan's lifeblood, the foundation of his family. Asking for shares would only drag out the divorce, making it more complex, potentially even igniting a war between our families. I didn't want entanglement. I wanted a clean break to escape this suffocating relationship as quickly as possible. All I wanted was what I was rightfully owed and my freedom. Michael Lee nodded, confirming he understood my position. He began drafting the divorce agreement and compiling stronger evidence. A few afternoons later, I was driving through Times Square downtown. On the massive electronic billboard, an entertainment news segment was playing. On screen, Ethan, dressed in a sharp black suit, was personally picking someone up at the airport. The woman beaming beside him, arm linked through his, was Stella. The headline read, "Famed actress Stella Miller returns, celebrated business magnate Ethan Davenport greets her personally, their long-standing bond unchanged." Scrolling below were fan comments from social media. Wow. Dream couple. The way Ethan looks at Stella is so loving. They look so good together. The ones that got away. Get together. Get together. I sat in my car watching the glaring scene on the screen, hearing the faint chatter of pedestrians nearby, and felt an overwhelming sense of irony. In the next lane, a young woman noticed the screen too, excitedly telling her friend, "Look. It's Ethan and Stella. If only they were real." I rolled down my window, aimed my voice in their general direction, not too loud, not too soft, and said, "Just good friends, don't get your hopes up." After all, the leading man still has an actual wife at home. The young woman froze, seemingly confused, looking over at me. I ignored her, rolled up my window and stepped on the gas, driving away from that sickening display. I knew my words would probably be dismissed as the random rantings of a stranger, but in that moment I couldn't resist poking a hole in that bubble of hypocrisy. As arranged, I took the preliminary draft of the divorce agreement to Ethan's company. His secretary, clearly under instruction, tried to block me, saying Ethan was in a meeting. That's fine, I'll wait, I said, walking directly to the seating area outside the CEO's office and sitting down. It wasn't long before the office door opened. Stella walked out first, a triumphant smile on her face. She patted Ethan's arm affectionately as he followed her out. Ethan, thank you. I knew you were the best. Ethan had a gentle smile on his face. It was nothing. That role is perfect for you, do a great job. I heard them clearly. They were talking about a role in a major film about to start production. From what I knew, the competition for that supporting female role was fierce, with many talented actresses with connections vying for it. And now it had apparently fallen into the lap of Stella, who had just returned to the country with few notable credits to her name. Ethan noticed me then. The smile faded slightly from his face as he walked over. Ava, what are you doing here? I held up the file folder in my hand. Brought you something. His eyes fell on the folder and he seemed to sense what it was. His brow furrowed slightly. Stella walked over too. Seeing me, her smile froze for a second before she enthusiastically linked her arm through mine. Ava, what a coincidence. Ethan and I just finished talking business. Oh, by the way, to thank Ethan for helping me get this role, I want to treat you both to dinner tonight. You absolutely have to come. Her tone was as familiar as if we'd been best friends for years, but the thank you dinner she mentioned sounded to me like pure showing off and provocation. I agreed. I wanted to see just how far they could take this charade. Dinner was set at an elegant French restaurant. Throughout the meal, Stella enthusiastically reminisced about her and Ethan's past sweet moments. From their first date in college to Ethan's secretly flying to her film set abroad to surprise her. From the dishes she liked to the things she was allergic to. The details were rich, her tone natural, as if I were just an accidental listener. Ethan would occasionally interrupt her, telling her to stop dredging up ancient history, but his tone wasn't harsh, even carrying a hint of almost imperceptible indulgence. In stark contrast to Stella's endless chatter, Ethan showed me an unusual level of attentiveness. He remembered I didn't eat cilantro and told the waiter in advance. He knew which vintage of red wine I preferred and specifically ordered a bottle. He even carefully cut my steak into small pieces when he noticed me looking out the window. This deliberate attentiveness might have moved me for a moment under normal circumstances, but in this situation, especially against the backdrop of Stella's pointed, sweet memories, it only struck me as more hypocritical and laughable. He was trying to use this to balance things, to placate me, but it only exposed his inner conflict and the greed of trying to hold on to both of us. The dramatic climax occurred near the end of dinner. The waiter served a dessert containing yam. Stella took one bite and suddenly her face turned pale, her breathing grew shallow, and she clutched her neck, saying, I think I'm having an allergic reaction. Ethan's face changed instantly. He shot up from his seat, rushed to Stella's side and checked her condition anxiously. What's wrong? Aren't you allergic to peanuts? How could yam? I don't know either. Stella's voice grew weaker and red rashes started appearing on her face. Quick! To the hospital. Without another word, Ethan scooped the limp Stella into his arms. He didn't even spare me a word before rushing out of the restaurant. I sat alone at the exquisite table, looking at the barely touched food and enduring the curious or pitying glances from other diners. An overwhelming sense of absurdity and exhaustion washed over me. It was happening again. Stella having an incident, and Ethan abandoning me without hesitation. From the hot spring resort to the French restaurant, the setting changed, but his choice never did. I calmly called the waiter, paid the bill, and left the restaurant alone. This time I couldn't even muster a trace of anger. There was only numbness and a profound, utter coldness. I returned home, didn't turn on the lights, and sat in the darkness of the living room. I turned on the TV randomly, finding a comedy show, trying to use the external noise to drive away the dead silence inside me. I don't know how much time passed before the door opened. Ethan came back. He switched on the light, saw me sitting on the sofa and paused for a moment before walking over, his face etched with fatigue and apology. Ava, I'm sorry tonight. How is she? I didn't look at him, my eyes fixed on the TV screen, my voice flat. The doctor said it was an acute allergic reaction. Luckily we got her there in time. They gave her a shot and she's fine now. He paused, trying to explain. Stella's an actress, her face is important, she can't afford scars, so I was a little panicked. The same old excuse. Always a reason, always Stella being more important. I picked up the file folder that had been sitting on the coffee table and handed it to him. Take a look. Ethan took it hesitantly, opened it and pulled out the documents inside. The divorce agreement drafted by Michael Lee. His expression instantly turned ugly. Ava, how long are you going to keep this up? I'm not keeping anything up. I finally turned my head to look at him. The living room light wasn't bright, but I could still clearly see on the collar of his white shirt an incriminating smudge of lipstick that wasn't mine. At the same time, the faint yet distinct scent of the perfume Stella always wore drifted into my nostrils. Had he come straight from the hospital, or had he gone somewhere else? This discovery was the last straw, shattering the last of my forced composure. The anger and humiliation I'd suppressed for so long surged violently. I stood up, raised my hand, and with all my strength slapped him hard across the face. The sharp smack echoed loudly in the silent living room. Ethan was stunned, clutching his face, looking at me in disbelief. You hit me? Ethan Davenport. My voice trembled slightly with rage, but my eyes were exceptionally cold. You're disgusting. Without giving him another glance, I turned, walked into the bedroom and locked the door behind me. The next day I didn't go to work, calling in sick to stay home. In the afternoon the doorbell rang. I thought it was Ethan refusing to give up, but when I opened the door I saw Stella. She looked a bit haggard, but her makeup was still impeccable. She held a fruit basket, a tentative smile on her face. Ava, I came to see you. About yesterday, I'm sorry I caused you trouble. What do you want? I blocked the doorway, making no move to let her in. Stella's smile faltered for a moment, then she softened her approach. Ava, I know you might misunderstand things between Ethan and me, but we really are just friends. Ethan cares about you a lot. After he took me to the hospital yesterday, he was really worried about you. She began to ramble on about how platonic Ethan's friendship with her was and how deeply he loved me, his wife, trying to play the role of a peacemaker. But between the lines she constantly hinted at the deep bond and understanding she shared with Ethan, something no one else could penetrate. Did you know? In college Ethan worked for a month just to buy me a limited edition necklace. He actually doesn't like spicy food, but because I liked it he ate Sichuan cuisine with me for 4 years. That car he bought you? I was the one who suggested the color. I listened quietly. When she finally finished I spoke coolly. Miss Stella, after all that, you're just trying to prove that Ethan once loved you very much, or rather that you believe he's still hung up on you. Being called out so directly left Stella momentarily speechless. I looked at her, my gaze perfectly calm. But do you know? When you truly love someone you can't bear to let them suffer even the slightest hurt. If he really cared about me as much as you claim, he wouldn't ignore me and abandon me time and time again because of you. If he truly considered you part of his past, he wouldn't still be crossing boundaries to be good to you after you returned, even at the expense of our marriage. So spare me the sales pitch about your history and how special you are, I said, a sardonic smile twisting my lips. Because whether it's about me or you, his wishy-washy have-my-way act only proves one thing. He doesn't love enough. Not enough for me, his wife, and probably not even as much as you think he loves you. Stella's face paled instantly a sickly white. She probably hadn't expected such a cool-headed counterattack, especially one that hit so close to home. If you've got nothing else, please leave, I said, dismissing her. And in the future try not to bother me again. With that I closed the door, shutting out her shocked and humiliated expression. Time flew by and Christmas rolled around in no time. The city was draped in holiday cheer. The divorce was in limbo, Ethan being Ethan and not cooperating. He seemed convinced I was just throwing a tantrum, still trying all sorts of cheesy moves to win me back. Flowers, gifts, sweet talk. Staring out at the twinkling Christmas lights, a thought popped into my head. Maybe I should give him and myself one last shot. I texted Ethan asking if he wanted to watch the New Year's Eve fireworks together. He replied almost instantly, his text practically vibrating with excitement. Yes. Where do you want to go? I'll set it up. New Year's Eve we stood on the observation deck at the Harbor Prime real estate for the show. The crowd was a sea of faces buzzing with laughter and chatter. Ethan stood beside me, shielding me from the crush, draping his heavy coat over my shoulders. Cold, he murmured. In that moment the atmosphere was unreal, almost too good to be true. For a fleeting second I even let myself believe that maybe we could actually be like any normal couple, leave the baggage behind and start over. As the clock struck midnight, the sky exploded with fireworks, a kaleidoscope of colors lighting up the harbor, and Ethan's eyes as he turned to me, a flicker of hope and tenderness in them. Just as the fireworks reached their crescendo, Ethan's phone buzzed. His eyes flicked to the screen and his brow instantly furrowed. Still. Again. He hesitated. This time he didn't reflexively answer. He glanced at me, then back at his phone, a visible struggle playing out on his face. But that single moment of hesitation was all the clarity I needed. I didn't need to wait for him to make a choice. The hesitation itself was the answer. Answer it, I said, my voice strangely calm amidst the booming fireworks. Just in case it's another life or death emergency. Ethan looked surprised by my reaction, then hesitantly answered. Stella's voice poured out, laced with sobs and panic, words like stalker, harassment, scared, floating through the speaker. Ethan's expression hardened instantly. He soothed her over the phone. Don't worry, lock the doors, I'm on my way. Hanging up, he turned to me, that familiar mix of apology and helplessness etched on his face. Ava, Stella's saying she's got a stalker banging on her door. It sounds serious, I have to go. Go. I cut him off, my voice as even as if discussing the weather. He froze. I pulled my phone from my bag, brought up the photo I'd taken in our living room that night. Him dabbing antiseptic on Stella's cut, along with a few choice screenshots from our security cameras. I held it up for him to see. But before you rush off, sign this. I produced another copy of the divorce papers, the ones already prepped and ready, and held them out to him. Ethan's eyes flicked between the photos and me, his face paling further. He got it. This was a blatant no bullshit ultimatum. Ava, he started, but the word seemed to choke in his throat. The fireworks still painted the night sky brilliant and fleeting. I looked at him, my gaze cold and unwavering. Go handle your emergency, Ethan. Sign these, and these photos and security footage will accidentally disappear. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what the headlines will be tomorrow. Ethan's fist clenched, then loosened, then clenched again. Finally, against the backdrop of booming fireworks, he silently picked up the pen and signed the divorce papers. Then he looked at me, a deep, unreadable look in his eyes, before turning and walking away without a backward glance towards his damsel in distress. Watching him disappear into the crowd, I tucked the papers away and looked up at the last fading bursts of fireworks. A wave of lightness washed over me. This, I realized, was what it felt like to finally be done. Stella's comeback movie, the one Ethan had thrown a mountain of cash at to land her the lead role, was finally having its press conference. Ethan, as one of the main investors, was naturally there. The press conference was a whirlwind of flashing lights and media frenzy. Stella, decked out in designer clothes, stood on stage radiating forced glamour. Ethan sat in the front row of the investors section, his expression detached. During the Q&A, a reporter with guts lobbed a question straight at Ethan. Mr. Davenport, this massive investment in the film, many are speculating it's to support Ms. Stella. What's your take on the online couple rumors? What's your personal relationship with Ms. Stella like? The room went silent, every camera lens swiveling to Ethan and Stella beside him. Stella's smile tightened and she shot a pleading look at Ethan. Ethan picked up the mic, ready to deflect with corporate PR speak. Just then, from the back of the press section, I slowly raised my head, locking eyes with him. I didn't say anything, just mouthed a few words silently. Signed. Divorce. Papers. At the same time, I held up my phone, the screen displaying the photo of him signing the divorce papers that night, along with that cozy living room shot. I made sure he could see them clearly. Ethan's pupils constricted, his grip on the microphone tightening almost imperceptibly. The carefully crafted composure vanished, replaced by a flicker of panic and anger. He knew. He knew if I leaked this stuff, it would be catastrophic. For him, for Stella, for the whole damn movie. A few seconds of silence hung heavy in the air. Then Ethan put down the microphone and addressed the reporter, his voice firm, decisive. Miss Stella and I are longtime friends and business partners, nothing more. As for my personal life, my wife Ava and I are very happy, thank you for your concern. But I prefer to keep my family out of the public eye and free from unwarranted speculation. His gaze flicked to me again, a warning mixed with a hint of surrender. A small smile played on my lips and I lowered my phone. Mission accomplished. I knew right then and there I had him completely checkmated. Divorce was inevitable, no turning back. Not long after the press conference, Ethan and I met at the lawyer's office to officially sign all the divorce documents. The process was eerily calm, no arguments, no drama. After signing, Ethan looked at me, his voice a little rough. Ava, I know I messed up big time. Can we really not start over? I picked up my copy of the documents and stood up. Ethan, not everything gets a do-over. Especially not trust and feelings. I'll change. He looked at me, a plea in his eyes I'd never seen before. Don't bother. I shook my head, my voice calm, devoid of ripples. I wish you and Miss Stella a long-lasting friendship. With that, I turned and left the conference room without looking back. There's a 1-month cooling-off period for the divorce. I didn't stick around. I bought a plane ticket immediately and flew to Europe. I needed a change of scenery, a clean break from the past. I picked up my paintbrush again, sketching on the streets of foreign cities, visiting art museums, immersing myself completely in the art I loved. Ethan, it seemed, hadn't given up. He messaged me every day asking how I was, telling me what was happening on his end. Sometimes trivial daily things, sometimes progress on his work. He also sent gifts through various channels. Expensive jewelry, limited edition art supplies, even pieces by niche designers I'd mentioned liking offhand once. I ignored all of it. The gifts were returned unopened or handled by Olivia. I knew clearly what I wanted and what I didn't. Belated devotion isn't worth a damn. Perhaps due to exhaustion from preparing for my solo exhibition combined with not adjusting well to the new environment, I fainted while sketching outdoors one day and was taken to the hospital by a kind stranger. When I woke up, the first person I saw was Ethan, keeping vigil by my bedside. He had dark circles under his eyes and looked haggard. Seeing me open my eyes, he immediately leaned in tense. Ava, you're awake. How are you feeling? The doctor said it was exhaustion and low blood sugar. I frowned. What are you doing here? Olivia told me. He carefully tucked the covers around me. Ava, don't push me away, okay? Let me take care of you at least until you're better. Looking at his bloodshot eyes and the stubble on his chin, I felt a flicker of complexity. Illness does make one vulnerable, and his concern at that moment was hard to completely ignore. I didn't agree, but I didn't forcefully kick him out either. For the next few days he did take care of me diligently. Peeling fruit, feeding me congee, talking to me to ease the boredom, and even when I slept he just sat quietly nearby handling work emails. The day I was discharged, the sun was bright. Ethan supported me as we walked in the small garden downstairs from the hospital. Ava, he began after a long silence, I know saying sorry a million times won't help. About Stella, she was a really important part of my life, that relationship. Ethan, I interrupted him, stopping and looking at him calmly. I had a first love too. He froze, clearly not expecting me to bring this up. Before I met you, I loved someone too deeply. I looked at the roses blooming in the distance, my tone indifferent. But we broke up and that was it. As far as I'm concerned, a decent ex might as well be dead, out of sight, out of mind, living their own life peacefully. If I happen to remember them, it's just with a faint smile. I turned back to meet his complicated gaze. So the issue was never how much you loved her in the past, nor was it that I couldn't accept your past. It's about you now as a married man maintaining an ambiguous, unclear relationship and attitude with your ex. It was you time and time again who disappointed me for her sake, embarrassed me, made me feel like an idiot, like some obstacle standing in the way of your great friendship. Ethan, you disgust me. I watched his face instantly turn pale as I continued. The cooling off period will be over soon. If you still want to try any tricks or have Stella pull any stunts, I wouldn't mind sharing our story, including those photos, the surveillance footage, and the matter of you using company resources for her with the public. I think people would be very interested. This was the final showdown, the final warning. In the end, Ethan didn't do anything else. Once the cooling off period ended, our divorce became official. The moment I received the divorce certificate, I felt neither the excitement nor the sadness I might have expected, only a peaceful sense of unburdening. And my revenge was just beginning. I contacted my sister Olivia. She leveraged the resources of her law firm and our family connections. We teamed up with several companies that had always been competitors of the Davenport Group, as well as some sharp financial reporters and entertainment gossip outlets. Soon a media storm targeting Ethan and Stella began brewing rapidly online. First, the financial sections reported chaotic internal management within the Davenport Group, alleging Ethan used his position to funnel benefits to a connected individual, leading to poor investment decisions and huge losses for the company. Immediately after, the entertainment sections dropped the hard evidence, various proofs of Ethan's extramarital affair with actress Stella Miller, including but not limited to photos of the two returning to an apartment late at night from paparazzi, inside information about Ethan lavishing resources on Stella from anonymous sources within production crews, and even that classic surveillance video clip of him treating her injury in the living room, edited but enough to make the point. Hashtag Ethan Davenport cheats, hashtag Stella Miller homewrecker, hashtag paid heroin to set, hashtag rich family drama quickly dominated the trending lists on Twitter and Instagram. Overnight, Ethan became the poster boy for scumbags who dump their wives and abuse their power. The Davenport Group's stock price plummeted and several partnership projects were abruptly halted. As for Stella, her already shaky, innocent old flame image shattered completely, branding her a universally condemned other woman. All her endorsements were dropped, roles she'd secured were recast, and her acting career instantly collapsed. The tide of public opinion combined with precise business attacks quickly plunged the Davenport Group into an unprecedented crisis. Several months after this storm passed, I had settled in a small town in the south of France, continuing my painting career. One rainy afternoon, my doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I saw Stella looking haggard and utterly wretched. She wore no makeup, dressed in faded old clothes, her hair a mess, completely stripped of her former celebrity glamour. Seeing me, she dropped to her knees with a thud, tears instantly flooding her face. "Ava." "No, Ms. Williams. Please, I'm begging you, let Ethan go, let me go." She sobbed breathlessly. "I know I was wrong. It was all my fault. I shouldn't have come back, shouldn't have contacted Ethan again, shouldn't have ruined your marriage. Please, for old time's sake." "No, we don't have any old times. Please show some mercy, give us a chance to live." I looked at Stella kneeling on the ground, weeping hysterically, and felt nothing. "Get up," I said flatly. "This isn't a church. Your confession means nothing to me." Stella lifted her tear-streaked face, looking at me pleadingly. "I don't hate you, Stella," I said calmly. "You just happened to be there when he needed an excuse. Even if it hadn't been you, it probably would have been someone else. The one I truly hated was Ethan Davenport. But now," I said, my gaze drifting to the curtain of rain outside, my tone finally light, "I've let all of it go, the love, the hate. I just want to live my own life. As for you two," I pulled my gaze back to her. "You made your choices. Now you have to deal with the consequences. Please leave now," I said. "Don't come looking for me again. And don't trespass on my property or I will call the police." I closed the door, shutting out her pleas and despair. Some time passed, and then Olivia called from overseas with an update. "Ethan Davenport. Totally bankrupt," Olivia reported, her voice tinged with satisfaction. "The company got bought out and restructured, and basically all his personal assets were seized to cover the debts. Word is he's living in some tiny rented room now, really struggling." "Is that right?" I murmured, mixing paints at my easel. I just gave a non-committal response. That outcome was entirely expected. But Olivia's tone shifted. "Even after going broke, he's been asking around about you. The other day he had someone send something over, insisted it was for you." "What was it?" "Just a plain gift box. Inside, your old wedding rings." Olivia paused for a beat. "I already handled it for you. Found a reputable second-hand jeweler and sold them. The money's already in your account." "Good work," I smiled slightly. "Thank him for me. And maybe remind him that I was never the one who owed anything in that relationship." After hanging up, I walked to the window. The rain had stopped. Sunlight pierced through the clouds, spilling onto the damp stone path and onto my canvas, warm and bright. Olivia had come up beside me at some point following my gaze out the window. Then we looked at each other and smiled. A new life was just beginning. And that wretched past, like dust after the rain, had been washed away completely, leaving no trace. The sunlight was perfect, the future full of possibility.